For some reason today, I'm feeling very, very nostalgic because I have to ask the question, does anyone here else remember American Adventure? It used to be a theme park not too far away where you could go. There were rides, roller coasters, live shows, all sorts of stuff. And I particularly remember you used to go into the big sort of plastic replica they had of Mount Rushmore, and there were thousands upon thousands of different arcade machines you could go on. There was all kinds of stuff you could go and do there, and particularly why you went there, it was for fun. It was just a lot of fun. And the thing is, Rishi Sunak, as we've said just recently, has been out in America visiting Biden, having a little jolly in the White House. And what has he really achieved? Well, if anything, it once again goes to show you Brexit Britain has absolutely no leverage at all on the world stage. And it has once again diminished itself. As we said back in 2016, if we leave, we are diminished on the world stage. But of course, Brexiteers bought into this magnificent, splendid isolation that if we were to leave Europe, we could be a nimble, sovereign, nation, jotting, traveling around Europe, doing all kinds of innovative stuff while Europe just remains stolid and stoic. In reality, that has barely happened. You want an example of how Europe is beating us? Just look at all the new subsidies it's putting forward for green technologies and green car manufacturing. It is beating us there, hands down. And what's going to happen? Well, if you're a company in one of those two things and you're in the UK, your long-term future in the UK doesn't look good. But on to talk about more what happened during, shall we say, little Rishi's visit to the White House. But before we do get into that, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club down below as well. So, much of the reason why Rishi is going to America is to try and at least get some of this much wanted and much valued, or at least the reason why many of the Brexiteers voted for Brexit. At least they'll tell you at the time that was the reason they voted for Brexit. But of course, that reason changes constantly because Brexit was just an amorphous blob to them. It could be whatever it wanted to. And for some people, it just happened to be, oh, that glorious American trade deal. Because if we leave the EU, we can do this fantastic trade deal with America, and it'll completely offset any downsides of leaving the European single market. And Donald Trump indulged in that delusion. And of course, along comes Biden and completely torpedoes this. And even if by some miracle Donald Trump happens to win the next presidential election, or at least even become the next presidential candidate, which, to be honest, by the fact that there are two criminal cases that he's having to fight at the moment, he's got those to pass before he can even get the nomination. We'll see what happens there. But even then, if Donald Trump did become president, Republicans, Democrats wouldn't necessarily be lining up to do this trade deal. Now, Rishi did come away with something that, that green electric vehicle cars could be sold to America, I believe. At least what's being sort of reported, and you would have access to that market. The only problem is, as we've said before, we have no manufacturing capacity to be able to do that. And Biden knows that. That's why it was a complete free giveaway. Because if you want to look at what impact, how it is impacting, this is one of the things I'm actually really disappointed that Labour has given up, or at least seems to have given up that promise on the green investment strategy, is that you have all those subsidies, all that action going on in America where spades are in the ground building these factories of the future. Same for, as I said, in Europe, building these factories, these industries of the future. Meanwhile, what is the UK government doing? The current one is doing nothing, and Labour has a plan. It actually has a good economic, solid plan, and it's dithering, which is really disappointing on it. It's dithering. It seems to have ditched it currently. Hopefully, they don't, but they need to stick with it. They cannot be afraid of that. They cannot be cowed by the Conservatives going, "Oh, they're going to spend this on the UK's credit card, and you'll be paying for it for later." No, those types of investments are the type of thing we need to see. That's what Labour potentially proposing. That is true leveling up. But meanwhile, as as Rishi came away with some sort of this gesture, you've got to think that the influence is just not there at all because he has no leverage. That used to be the key thing. We had leverage in Europe. We were one of the big three. It was us, France, and Germany. But because we've now not got that leverage, we've got nothing to sort of leverage with the US. We've got nothing. And so that's why Biden gave away that three thing, because we cannot challenge them on that capacity because we do not have the manufacturing capabilities. And then last week, there was a EU-US tech association conference, which the UK was not at. Why? Well, we're not part of the EU. And of course, America didn't invite us. And that was to discuss tech companies and technologies and exchange of all kinds of stuff between the US and the EU. We were not involved in that. That is a massive, massive miss out for the UK. Now, we might be going into Moldova in, I think it's next week, with Emmanuel Macron's new sort of Council of Europe, where, you know, all sort of European countries, even the non-EU countries, can at least get together and sort of discuss stuff. But there's no power there. There's no veto power that we used to have. There is nothing. So it just goes to show you that Brexit really has, once and for all, really destroyed any form of soft power the UK had. And we always said that doing Brexit would diminish our stage on the world. And slowly but surely, that is happening. That is coming to pass. And it won't be before too long before people really start to take notice. Even in the UK, even the Conservatives cannot indulge in that fantasy forever that we are some sort of, you know, uh, you know, you know, pirating nation, going around the world doing all these fantastic trade deals, because we're not. And that is the reality. So little Rishi's had his big American adventure. And just like going to a theme park, the thrill lasts for the day. You have memories ultimately, like, I do, that will last a lifetime. But ultimately, you don't have anything to take away from it. You gained nothing. There was no advantage given to the UK, anything like that whatsoever. Biden may have made little Rishi feel a bit special in the White House, but ultimately, the UK gained nothing. And once again, as we said back in 2016, that the entire power and influence that we give up doing Brexit is coming to pass. And yet, the Brexiteers still insist that we are global Britain, taking on the world. And yet, they are doing absolutely nothing to enable us to even take on the world. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, there's the YouTube thank you button and of the Pony Club as well. You can join up to too. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.